What's up, everyone? Welcome to the What's Your 5 podcast, episode 15. My name is Rodell, and with me tonight is my good man, Mr. JoelFrrr. How are you doing, sir?
Doing awesome. What is up, everyone? How's it going, Rodell?
Oh, you know, I'm pretty salty, but we'll get to that in a second. This week's topic is going to be top 5 video games of 2000 to 2009. But first, I do want to mention that we are recording this on November 12th. If you guys don't know, that is the PS5 launch day. So happy launch day, everybody. I hate you, Joel. And so it looks like Joel has his box in the back. And I'm not too thrilled about that. I mean, I'm happy for him. But, of course, I got to throw shade on the parade. How is it so far? Did you get it set up?
It is on my entertainment center, unplugged, but it looks great. It fits under my mounted TV, so
is it
awesome.
Is it vertical or is it horizontal?
Oh, vertical. No. it looks silly horizontal, so
does it?
It's vertical.
All right. And the reason why I'm salty is because I had to get my house bug sprayed for ants because we found some ants in our bathroom, and so we had to spray inside and out. And our pesticide folks were like, "Yeah, you need to be out of the house for 2-3 hours," which I'm like, "Okay, that's fine." Of course.
What are the chances?
What are the chances? I swear to you, this is what happened. So Joel texts me and he says, "Dude, the PS5 is here." I'm like, "That's awesome." And no joke, I saw the ring notification on my phone saying somebody's ringing your doorbell. And I'm like, "Oh my God." And I'm like tapping on the ring and the internet's not working. And I'm like, "What the F?" And I'm like, "Damn it, dude." And so by the time I try to answer and say, "Keep it there," he was gone. I was like, "Ugh." Oh, man.
See, on the flip side, Rodell, the UPS guy at my house, he just left it, and he had no idea if I was home. And, I was home, so I ran downstairs and grabbed it, of course. But those porch pirates, man, they're no joke. So
I know, dude. If I can imagine
UPS? Question mark?
I can imagine Joel running downstairs like a kid in Christmas, like, "Oh, my God." So, I mean, yes, the silver lining is that the UPS guy was doing his job, supposed to sign for it, which was fine. But that also means, too, Joel, that means that your neighborhood, because it's new, is fairly safe. Versus my neighborhood, could not be safe. And that's why they did the whole, let's sign for it.
I can see that. We're on the outskirts of a fairly new neighborhood.
Right.
So more of the crimes, more central. So I can see that.
Yes, I mean,
coyotes aren't going to steal my PS5. I would
think. you would think. So I'm a little salty, but I mean, I'm sure Joel will set it up later on, and then I'll get mine tomorrow. The 13th would be a Friday, which I'm okay with. I'll be home. There'll be no outgoing or anything like that, or at least somebody will be home to sign for whatever the case is. But it's cool though. I mean, at first I was really pissed. I'm like, "Oh man, should I just tell them to hold it at a UPS store?" I'm like, "No."
Go there first thing in the morning?
No, I'm just going to let them redeliver it. And then, like I said, I'll just be, if you guys didn't see my the social media post, you see me with the window open and like just waiting for the UPS or the Amazon guy to come by. And like, I was like, "Oh man." So
I just imagine Rodell, like any movement from his house, the blinds, crack open the blind and take a peek.
Let me tell you, man, I swear. So, I live in a cul-de-sac, and so every sound that sounded like a truck, I literally was like, I was like looking at my window the entire time, just like, "Oh, is that the guy? No. Is that the guy? No. Is that the guy? No." Like, oh, it's killing me, man. So, needless to say, a lot of work has been done all day. All right. Anyway, so let's get to it. Before we go on, I want to say, again, as always, thank you guys so much for listening and watching. If you guys have any suggestions for any topics, please reach out to us at the social media pages, Twitter, Instagram at what's_your_5. If you guys want to send us an email for any topics, like for our mini-sodes that we've been having, please email us at topics@whatsyour5.com. And by the way, I just want to let you guys know that the contest that was announced last week on last week's episode, Top 5 Final Fantasy Games with Megan and Joel, that will be ending on November 30th. So I'll be announcing the winners or the winner on the December 7th episode of the What's Your 5 podcast. So keep your eyes out for that. Also, make sure to keep your eyes out for December. We're gonna have a really big giveaway this time around. So, tell your friends, hide your kids, hide your wife, all that stuff. Like, make sure you guys keep it tuned in and locked because we have a big giveaway coming up. So, don't stop listening to us. Hit the bell, subscribe, like, do all that good stuff. So, yeah.
Big holiday giveaway.
Big holiday giveaway, man. It's December, baby. It's Christmas.
The month of giving, man.
Indeed. So anyway, let's just get to it. So our topic this week is going to be the top 5 video games of 2000 2009. Now, I know this was a pretty big deal, but I know, Joel, this is like your heyday because, you're younger than
I was
me.
going to say, this might have been the hardest topic we've done so far.
For you.
For me.
Yeah.
So the 2000s to me are like my golden age of gaming, I should say.
Sure.
I was in high school in the beginning of the 2000s, but I got my first like part-time job in 2006, so I had money.
Ooh.
So then I wasn't shackled by the needing allowance or whatever.
But the clout by your parents can
exactly.
Yeah.
And then built my first, not first, but like solo built my first gaming PC in 2007. So a lot of the games on this list were played on that first gaming PC. So yeah, it was definitely the first the decade where I was first self-sufficient, but not so self-sufficient that I had like a full-time job and bills and adult stuff to do. So this was to me like a golden age of gaming for me.
Nice. All right, good deal. I mean, I think that you were at first a very big PC snob, like gaming wise.
At first,
or not at first, but I mean, like, well, no, yeah, that's you're right. I think you graduated to PC and then you went back to consoles.
Yeah, if I was childless and familyless, I'd probably still be a PC gamer, but I can't really hide in the office all day.
No, and especially, I mean, I don't know, man. I don't think the value's there. Like, if you guys don't know, it's like a 3080, like a RTX 3080. Those guys are like $700-$800, dude, or something like that. I mean, don't quote me, but man,
yeah,
this is too much.
The argument now is back in the day, you couldn't really say, you can't really get 1080 60 frames per second on a console. This was like pre-PS4 days, right? You have to spend $1,000 on a PC.
Yep.
Today being PS5 launch day, games are a minimum of 4K 60 frames per second, right?
Yes.
And to buy a gaming PC of that quality, you're at least spending $1,000, definitely more.
Yeah.
So the value proposition is evening, or not even evening out. It's going more in the console, side of things. But it's still a good market. I think there's still a great fan base.
Oh yeah.
Also, games are not as much exclusive for PC anymore.
Right.
Totally. So that's also a big hit. Before there was tons of PC exclusives. Now it's few and far between.
Well, I think the other thing too that and you may talk on this in your list is mods. That's a big thing too.
That's still a big thing, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, there's a lot of different mods. I mean, I play Street Fighter V on PC, and people have tons of mods on there. Some are very, very scantily. Like, really, gonna play with naked Cammy? Okay.
Like, are we playing Dead or Alive? Dead or Alive?
Yeah, age 99. Anyway, so that's good. So I wanted to know, because I always ask you this before we get into it. What's the criteria? What are we working with here today or tonight?
I had a pretty light criteria. Obviously made 2000 to 2009.
Yep.
Had to have finished it. That's usually part of my criteria.
Yeah.
I kind of took a different spin here. I had a slightly different original list when I first started.
Mm-hmm.
I'm taking out the component that has the game has to be quote unquote influential. It's still a piece, but I'm not sorry. There's a very popular game that made MMOs very popular that is not even near my list because I didn't play it. So this is not top 5 influential game of the 2000s. It's Joel's favorite of 2000s. So
it's what's your 5, baby? What's your 5? Cut the fat. This is what you have. This is why I have you here, is because I want to know what your 5 is. And I want to know everybody else's 5s is. Don't forget to leave a comment down below. So with that, for me, I think a lot of it has to deal with how fun they were. I think that's 1. 2 is I've had to beat the game. I think I'm taking that from Joel's list. But also, I think a lot of my games from 2000 2009 were a lot of games that I played with friends and couch co-op. A lot of co-op games. from there. I used to hang out at our friend's house, and we would be there in the countless hours of night because we didn't want to drink. First of all, no one wanted to drive, no one wanted to drive because everybody wanted to drink. So, so it was like, all right,
responsibility,
exactly. And Uber and Lyft were not available at this time, so it was like,
and taxis were expensive.
Yeah, that was ridiculous.
So
I mean, you either play a bunch of video games at home and be safe, or you can drink when you're at home, or you go out and do all this stuff and whatever. So I mean, this is kind of where we lied from there. Now, are there regrets? Kind of, but I mean, even then, it's like, hey, I'm alive.
The funny thing, Riddell, none of my games are multiplayer. Wow. Spoiler alert. This is why we make a good show, Riddell. We although we have some commonality, I feel like we play on very different spectrums of the gaming universe. So this is why we make a good show.
No, absolutely. No, I think you definitely bring a lot to the table on this. So, all right. So I think, I'm trying to think who started last. I'll start, I think.
Okay.
So, number 5 for Rodell is going to be a game that reinvigorated the fighting game scene. It came out at the tail end of this era, and it is Street Fighter 4. Pretty easy. This game pretty much reinvigorated the entire fighting game community when it came out. Third Strike was not very existent. Arcades were starting to die out. Nobody was going to arcades anymore because the systems were getting a lot better, and then you didn't have to worry about having quarters or anything like that. Granted, you still had to do the face-to-face stuff, and the online community wasn't there yet. But I mean, at the time that Street Fighter 4 came out, it was online based with Xbox Live and PS Plus, but it wasn't nearly as influential. It was still, arcade culture in that respect, where you had to go head to head to really get ahead in the game and be able to learn and stuff like that. Because I mean, you had some sources, but they weren't nearly as good as just going to somebody's house and play, which is still kind of nowadays. They really want to do that, but obviously with the pandemic going on, it's really difficult. But now a lot of the newer players that were really good at 4, not really good at 5, they're like, I hate this game. I hate 5, but they loved 4 because, it was like their game and all that stuff. But I loved it because it got me back into being a competitive fighting player, and it got me really hooked onto it. Playing online was just, there was a lot of times, and still today, there's still a lot of lag. But, I mean, for the most part.
I was going to say, well, is it, at the time of release, was it good enough? Because I know lag is a huge component to fighting games.
It was good enough. I mean, it was good enough for me because back then I wasn't nearly as competitive as I am now. I mean, granted, I was competitive, but it wasn't like going to tournaments. I was just more just like, I just want to play and I want to have that arcade feeling. And a lot of rage quits, a lot of banging on joysticks and throwing things at the table, and like all that. But it was a great time. And I think that. With that game, had that game not come out, the rest of these games between 2010 to 20 would have not flourished at all.
I was going to ask you when you first mentioned your game. So again, we do not know each other's lists before going into the episode.
Right.
When you first mentioned the game, the kind of first question that popped into my head was, do you think there's a Marvel vs. Capcom 3 without the success of Street Fighter 4?
No. Absolutely.
No, right. And so more of my friends and family played Marvel vs. Capcom 3 than Street Fighter 4. Right. This is why I've seen it more. And I saw Street Fighter 4, and when I first saw it, I was like, damn, a Street Fighter game looks good. Like to be on at the time the next gen.
Yep.
It was very impressive, and it was fun. I never really got serious into it, but I played it casually.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree. Before that, it was like another Street Fighter game that looks pretty much the same.
Yeah.
And bam, this new game came out that had next gen graphics and was actually competitive in the gaming scene or the fighting scene. Sorry, so good pick.
I think it was good because a lot of people were able to get into it. Like it was entry level enough to get into, and then the transition to get better was really good. So,
your main.
Oh wow! Back then was the Boxer Balrog. That was
formerly of M. Bison.
Formerly M. Bison, Mike Bison, guys. If you guys don't know,
was the Japanese version have him as M. Bison?
Yes,
okay.
Absolutely. Yes.
They only changed it to avoid the U.S.
You avoid the U.S. hassle and all that stuff. Yeah, we don't want Mike Tyson to really all that. But all right, so that's my number 5. Joel, what is your number 5? Because I'm curious.
Number 5 for me. So this is this just snuck into the 2000s, and it's a game I've actually talked about before. My number 5 is Final Fantasy X.
Ah, all right.
This is still my favorite double-digit Final Fantasy.
Mm-hmm.
It's if you want to, usually when you split it, you usually do like 1 through 9 and then 10 through 15. That's
exactly
the usual split. So this is still my favorite of the second bunch.
Yep.
I know I spoke on not having influenced me too much of my category, but this changed the game and presentation for Final Fantasy games.
Absolutely, 100%.
Obviously, everyone knows voice acting, but the graphical fidelity from PS1 to PS2 was huge.
Sure.
The OST was amazing.
Yep.
I feel like I'm repeating myself from previous episodes. All those reasons I love Final Fantasy X are still existent today.
Yeah.
Flexible battle system.
Yep.
Story, tear jerking. Great Final Fantasy. I still haven't played a single Final Fantasy after that matched that game. To be fair, I didn't finish 15, so that could I guess go into it. But 12, no, 13, no. 14 was fun to play with you guys, but
so you're telling me that the story from 10 was your favorite story of all of them? Is that what I'm hearing?
Of the 10 through 15 chunk.
Oh, okay, got it.
Of the new chunk, sorry.
I thought you were talking because I was like, wait a minute. I'm like,
oh,
okay.
no.
No, okay. I was like, all right. I'm like, all right. So Final Fantasy X, pretty easy pick. I'll definitely give you on that one. So, good call. So the next pick for me, my number 4, and I'm pretty sure you probably won't guess this one, but it's a game that has not been mentioned in this podcast yet, which I'm super excited about. This game came out on the PSP in 2004. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it is a launch title, and the game is Luminous.
Okay. I was going to guess Patapon. I was kind of close.
No. I liked Patapon, but no, man. Luminous, man. All day. So, if you guys don't know what the game is, it's a puzzle game that there's a line that continuously goes back and forth, continually moves forward, and you have to make blocks within, 2 colors, and you have, and the line clears the blocks as you move along. So it's just a puzzle game like that. But the music in there was sensational, just an amazing soundtrack of rock, jazz, funk, techno, just out there. And so when this game came out, you're just like, wow. I mean, it's like one of the best puzzle games ever since Tetris, I think.
I was gonna call it the new age Tetris.
It is the new age Tetris. A lot of people have said on forums and whatnot, like, oh, Luminous is better than Tetris. Like, I wouldn't go as far as saying that, but I would definitely say that Luminous is definitely its own realm. I mean, it's held its own. It's had countless iterations since its inception. Luminous 2 was probably my favorite version, to be honest with you. But they had different ones. They had Luminous Remastered that just came out recently, which is the part 1, but remastered in different graphics, HD. And man, it's so good. I ended up buying the vinyl for it. Is that good? Oh. Can't say enough good things about it. Did you have it with your PSP?
I had on the Vita.
Oh, yeah, the Vita. Okay, so
it's definitely like a airplane or road trip game. Like you can just put headphones on, and an hour later you're still playing it. It's a great game.
It's funny that you say that because when I was flying back from Chicago like last month, I was on the plane. It's about a 3.5 hour ride, and so I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna be able to play Luminous and. I'll try to keep my focus away from the time, and so I'm playing it right, and I went through the entire game soundtrack, which it takes a long time, and I did it, and then I finished it. I'm like, great, and then I looked at the time, and I was like, oh man, only an hour passed. That's garbage. Not realizing that my watch didn't update because I was in the air.
So you moved time zones?
Yeah, I moved time zones. So like it was already like 20 minutes before we started landing. I was like, oh, thank goodness. So it was crazy stuff. But yeah, Luminous was my number 4. I don't know if I know your wife is a big puzzle fan, a big Tetris fan. I'm not sure she was a big fan of Luminous either.
No, she was I don't know if you can consider it a puzzle game, but her jam on mobile devices is still Trauma Center.
Say what? Really? Traumatizer. You're talking about the
The hard as hell. Yep.
with the
Yep. I get stuck after like the fourth level. I'm like, oh, right, game's going away. I can't beat it.
I can't beat it anymore. This guy's dead. Like,
Yep.
don't
Too
care
much
about-
gauze is needed. Sorry, bro.
Oh man. All right, dude. What you got for number 4?
Number 4, I'm gonna go with the original Mass Effect.
Mm.
So I think this is 2009, so it barely got in.
Okay.
So this is big space exploration, space opera game.
Mm-hmm.
So the gameplay was better in 2 and 3, but
Right.
I don't think those matched like this feeling of exploration you had in this game.
Right.
It was the first time you can go, all these planets, the different. They actually did the environments very well for a 2009 game that came out, I believe, on 360 and PC.
Right.
I still think across the board it started one of the best stories in video game history, the trilogy.
Sure.
And the gameplay was good. It's a little dated, but it was kind of the it kind of was on more of the RPG than shooter side, and then 2 and 3 became more of like not quite Borderlands, but kind of Borderlands-y, where they really kind of went towards the shooting aspect of it.
Okay.
But this was one of the first games that flexed my PC muscle, where I was like, damn, this looks good on that that 1080p monitor with the huge ass bezels and four times anti-aliasing. Man, this looks great. My shadow is so detailed. This was one of the first games where I really got to like, this is why I game on the PC. And then quick funny story, Riddell. Obviously I bought the first one when it came out after rave review, so I was like, damn, second one I'm reserving. I'm buying the collector's edition, whole nine. I reserve at the local GameStop at the mall.
Right.
Go on release day. And I'm like, oh, here's my number. I got Mass Effect Collector's Edition. He was like, what platform? I was like, PC. He's like, oh. So he opens the drawers, kind of takes a peek, looks around, and he's like, And then he turns around and looks. You know how they build like a pyramid of the games on release day?
Yeah.
He takes the very top one. He's like, oh, there it is. And he hands it to me. And I'm like, damn, I really just bought the only collector's edition PC in the store. But I will take it. Oh, and my elitist ass walked out of there being like, oh yeah, these console
strutting off. Yeah. Man, you know what's funny? Because I mean, today is launch day, right? And I can't stop thinking about, man, I used to wait in line, pre-pandemic, obviously, but I used to, go to the GameStop, bunch of stanky folk and, bunch of nerds and like, oh man, I can't wait to play blah, 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 and this and that. And just me looking at them like, man, I make this stuff look good.
I did the same for Modern Warfare 2.
Yeah.
And again, I got one of the few PC copies, but I was like, yeah, man, I'm with a bunch of losers. Then I thought, I was like, and here I am waiting at 9 o'clock. Who am I to think I'm better than these people? But
I know.
Yeah.
I don't care. I'm still cooler than them.
At least I'm not with my mom.
That's true. Yep, I've seen that one before. Or I've seen the family. I remember it was a Switch. It was a Switch launch. Yeah, I think it was
Switch is the family console.
I think it was Switch launch because it was a family and they were like talking like, oh well, I'm gonna play Zelda first. No, I'm gonna play Zelda first, and I'm just like, man, y'all need to just get your own.
Just buy 3 of them. We're already
buy 3 of them. Like stop doing all this stuff. Anyway, I'm sorry, super tangent. Anyway, so let's see here. So Mass Effect 2009, bought it you played it for PC, so that's
PC.
Good. All right, good deal. Let me ask you this: with Mass Effect, and you said it was more RPG elements, and again, Mass Effect was made by BioWare, so the same guys that made Knights of the Round. Or I'm not Knights of the Round. Knights of the Old Republic.
I know what you mean. Yep.
Yeah. So very similar play for these games, right? As far as like decision making and
the framework's the same. Obviously, you have lightsabers versus guns, but skill tree, good and bad, same night.
Gotcha. Cool. All right, good deal. So we are in the middle of it now. So we couldn't have a game where we couldn't have a list lately without mentioning this damn franchise over and over again. But hey, this franchise though actually gets some love because it's Final Fantasy XI is my number 3. So again, this goes back to me and my buddy. First of all, the reason why I bought this game entirely was because back then we were playing SOCOM 2, And there was a rumor that the hard drive, when the PS2 hard drive came out, that you'd be able to load new maps on SOCOM 2. And I was like all about it. I'm like, yeah, let's go do it. And so this game, Final Fantasy 11 came out. It wasn't part of the crazy canon or anything like that. And I'm just like, I guess so. And I wanted to buy it because it had the hard drive. I'm like, I'm just gonna buy this for SOCOM. I'll just play a month. It's not a big deal. Me and my buddy, we were playing. And we're like, oh, this is kind of cool. It's kind of slow, but whatever. And then it's later on. It's like, okay, this is kind of fun. And then you're just playing this a long time.
Well, was it the South Park thing where you're chasing the dragon?
Oh yeah, you're totally chasing the dragon. Totally spacing out chasing the dragon. Because I mean, if you guys don't know, Final Fantasy 11, it's first off, it's the first MMO from Final Fantasy. It played a lot like EverQuest. I never played EverQuest in the beginning, but it's very grind heavy. You have to have a party of 6 to actually level your own character. You cannot solo at the time. So it was very difficult. And so in fact,
you're not allowed to solo.
No, it's not like you're not allowed. It's just all the enemies are too damn tough.
You can't do it. Yeah.
You can't do it. And so like you'll just be, killing boars for like ever, like like South Park style until you hit a certain level. So and not only that, but you have to re-roll different classes because you have a main class and you have your subclass, and that subclass has to complement your main class, so you have to do all that. And so it's just crazy amounts of meta in the game. On top of that, you have the economy. Now, this is the first time ever I've ever bought currency in a game ever with real money. Yes, RMT, ladies and gentlemen. I was one of those people that bought, what was it, $20 for like 5 million gil so I could buy a stupid item because I can't grind and I have a life. I have a job. Like I can't like just keep playing forever and ever and ever or farm all these crazy notorious monsters. Oh man, it was crazy. I loved it though. Like I loved playing. I loved playing with my buddy George. He excelled in that game. He got with the whole group and just like went to town, and I just couldn't do it, man. And plus my class wouldn't let me anyway. I was a Dark Knight. I was just a simple DPS character, but he was he was a pally, so he was a tank. So everybody wanted him on his group. So
instant queue,
exactly. Anytime he flagged up, it was just like, hey, do you want a party? Hey, do you want a party? Hey, let's go over here. And so he played, I think he had like 5 or 6 maxed out jobs. I only had I didn't even have one. Like I didn't even have one max job because I couldn't go over the hump. So but Final Fantasy 11, it introduced me to a lot of different mechanics, introduced me to MMOs. Wasn't a big fan of World of Warcraft because I didn't like the world, but when Final Fantasy 14 came out, it was good. Oh well, I'm sorry, Reborn was good. So
that's a big thing, right? I mean, a lot of these MMOs are based off existing worlds, obviously, because you want something to draw. The story, there's a story, but there's not like a you're not going to solo it and the story, right?
Oh.
It's usually based off existing worlds.
Yes.
So if you're, I'm actually surprised, maybe not surprised because of how early it got in the game.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know there was that many Warcraft players, how popular WoW is.
Yeah.
Like to me, Warcraft was always like the slower, less fun version of StarCraft.
Yeah.
I know it came before. I got it.
Yeah.
But I was always surprised that many people love the Warcraft lore. I guess so.
I don't know, man. I tried. I really tried to get into it. Like as far as, because my coworkers used to play WoW. I used to play Warcraft 3 just to try it. But I mean, I'm still not an RTS guy at all. So it was just like, I guess. But yeah. So I mean, that's it was a really good game for me during the 2000 era, and I just remember very clearly on days and nights where I would play constantly, and then I would I would be calling George like, hey man, like you want to play up tonight, man, come on, let's go, dude. I won't be able to find a party without you, man. So it's like, hey, you gotta take my buddy with me in order for you to play.
I gotta get in the club, bring the girl with you, right?
Yup, exactly. I gotta get in the club, man. We would go to Starbucks, and then after Starbucks it's like, all right man, you want to play the game? All right, cool, see you later, man.
Nice.
Oh my god, we're so terrible. Number 3, Joel, what do you have?
So I know my number 4 was a BioWare game. My number 3 is also a BioWare game. It's going to be Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic.
Oh, KOTOR.
If you know me, you know I'm a huge Star Wars fan.
Yes, I know.
This is still my favorite Star Wars game of all time. introduced one of the best now canon characters, Darth Revan. If you didn't know, he makes a very brief mention in episode 9
of The Mandalorian.
Which was no episode 9 of the newest trilogy. I can't even
Oh.
I wasn't really a fan of the latest 3, although I have a cool poster right there. One of the best characters. It was like, hey, I'm a Jedi in RPG land, which was really dope because before it's always a third-party action game.
Right.
Gameplay was great. Traditional Bioware skill trees.
Mm-hmm.
It was just so cool to be like, hey, I'm a Jedi, but I went into the dark skill tree and I can force choke people and force lightning them. But I'm going to answer all the answers good, so I stay as a good guy.
So you know all the bad stuff, but then you didn't kill any younglings, right?
Oh no way.
No. What did Padme say? My heart is hurting.
My heart is breaking, or something like
that. My heart is breaking for you.
So we're gonna go off a tangent here. This may be edited out, but if you watched the Clone Wars, that's Anakin. There's like 6 seasons of Clone Wars, I think more. So you really get to learn the character. That scene is so out of character for him. Like I get it. They wanted to make him like super bad,
right?
But my headcanon is he goes in there, turns on the lightsaber, and says, "Get out," and they all scurry out. That's my headcanon.
That's your thought. That's what you think happens.
Because I mean he's such a noble hero in Clone Wars. He's always like, do what's right. Yeah, I might have to fudge the line to do what's right, but I'm going to do what's right.
Mm-hmm.
And killing kids is not on his playbook. So, and I get it. A lot of the Clone Wars came after episode 3, so it is what it is.
Yeah.
But no killing of younglings in Knights of the Old Republic.
Okay.
Great story, great twist at the end. Great game.
Good deal. So, all right. Number 2. This is going to be a little bit, I wouldn't say controversial, but it's definitely something that I don't think would this is kind of weird because you guys probably know this by now that I'm not a big FPS fan. But one of the first games I ever played online was this game on Xbox Live when it just came out, and the game is, for my number 2, is Unreal Championship.
Interesting.
So I was a big Unreal fan, and this was pre 1 eye. So I had 2 eyes back then that were actually working, and so I didn't really get nearly as dizzy as I do now. But I played the hell out of Unreal Championship, and I was really good with Lightning Gun, like really good. And I would get headshots all over the place. And this was my first go at it. I mean, there's Counter Strikes. There was, all the stuff between there. I wasn't really a big PC player, so getting this game, it was on a whim, and I was like, okay, I got Xbox Live, so we have this new service that just came out. Everybody's, bitching and moaning about, oh, it's $60 for the year. That's, I don't know why you have to pay for online service, which in reality is like nothing now. Like I would totally pay that, 2 times over, for something that's stable and reliable, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, you play this game Unreal and you're just like, this is kind of cool. And then you have the headset, and man, like that was a game changer. When you hear people cursing up a storm, I'm going to teabag you, I'm going to do this and that to your mother. You're like, what?
That game announces killing streaks, right?
Oh yeah. What was it? Yeah. What was the good killing streaks? I forgot what the names were, but yeah, I remember they announced the kill streaks. And then I just remember there was a lot of different like dialogue. They said something like "You be dead" or something like that. So I thought that was really cool. So yeah, that. But yeah, it was my first online experience, especially with shooters, and I got to know a bunch of people. I don't talk to them anymore now, but I mean, like I still have them on my Xbox friends list from like years and years ago. But 2002 was actually when it came out. But man, it was such a good game. That was my number 2, because like I said, I just think that it was my first ever first person. I mean, other than Halo, but even then, like Halo didn't have online. I don't think did it have online.
I don't think it had on Xbox. It had for PC. I could be wrong. But then Halo 2 had online for sure. I know that, but it was Halo 1 that did. I think that was still, everybody was still kind of landing with each other, in dorm rooms and all that stuff. So, that was my number 2. I never played that one, but I did play Unreal Tournament on PS2.
Oh yeah.
Obviously not online.
Yep.
My jam was the flat cannon. I'm not sure if that was in championship.
I love me some.
That was my jam. The flat
Yeah, the
cannon.
shotgun. Yeah. Good stuff, man. All right, man. Number 2. What do you got?
Number 2 for me, and funny you mentioned buying on a whim. I think for Final Fantasy 11, I kind of bought this on a whim. Half-Life 2. So
What?
I bought this. So I was building my first gaming PC, and obviously I bought a lot of pieces on Black Friday.
Yep.
Bought like my case, my speakers, everything but pretty much the video card and the CPU on Black Friday.
Right.
We're rolling through Best Buy, picking up one thing, and I'm like, orange box is $30. All right, that's 3 games. I need to buy that.
Right.
Half-Life 2, man, that ended up being. I know Portal's great. Portal's awesome, but Half-Life 2 ended up being my jam on that game.
Mm-hmm.
I played Half-Life 1, obviously. Half-Life 2, sequel, better. And that doesn't always happen, but better in every single facet. Story, graphics, obviously, gameplay.
Yep.
Atmosphere was top-notch. If you guys haven't played, it's like dystopian where the portal you opened brought in the aliens. Now they're kind of inhabiting Earth and have everyone on lockdown. Mm-hmm. So it was great. But what really made this game was the physics engine, the same physics engine that supplied Portal.
Yep.
And the gravity gun, man. I'm not sure if did you play Half-Life 2 or no?
I did not, man. I should
have.
I did play Portal, though.
Okay, so it's very similar, but like opposite, kind of. Yeah. But the gravity gun lets you pull anything you want and like throw it. So anything in the game is interactable, I guess.
Right.
And there's this one stage called "We Don't Go to Ravenholm," which is like still one of the scariest stages I've ever played. Mm-hmm. But there's you're kind of like in this rundown town where there's like some half construction, and there's a lot of saw blades on the floor, and you can pick up saw blades like
saw blades, okay,
circular saw blades,
and
you can pick them with the portal gun and just chuck them at people, and that's how you kill like half the enemies because you don't have much ammo, I think, so you just chuck it at them.
Wow.
And yeah, that stage was very like I'm not a scary game player, so I think I played Half-Life 2 again with the HD mod, where they made Alex look like a very famous Victoria's Secret model. So that was kind of weird. But I got to that stage and I was like, these graphics have too much fidelity. I can't play it. But the mod was cool, so I shut it down. But the stage was too scary. Adriana Lima, that's who I'm thinking of.
No, I was saying, I think we talked about this on our mini-sode with the hardest battle or the hardest boss battles. Was the tentacles in that? That
was Half-Life 1.
Oh, it was Half-Life 1.
Yeah.
Gotcha. All right, cool.
Half-Life 2 was awesome. I can't convince myself to buy a VR headset just to play the newest one, but
it's funny. See. It's funny you say that because my nephews just split a Oculus Quest 2, and I just started. I actually got to play around with it, and it's cool, but I can't justify the $300 to play Beat Saber.
So that works for Half-Life 2 Alex, I think it's called.
Yeah.
But it's made for the Valve version, the very much more expensive Valve version, because there's like finger controls.
Yep.
Where each finger has like a button. So like in the game, you can like grab soda cans and you can like pull the trigger, obviously. And so you can. It's like that's the real immersive way. And I'm like, yeah, but I can't spend like $1,000 on this. No. For one game, I can't do it.
No,
that goes beyond the AR DDR pads, right? It goes beyond that.
Yeah, right. No way, man, dude. I can't do that, man. Like I said, even $300 to do that, it's like I can't. I need to have at least some type of longevity going forward. I mean, I know I've purchased systems for one game. I ain't gonna lie about that, but for $1,000, nah, I'm good with that, dude. I'm all right with that. And then $300 for a VR game that's you play a bunch of songs and stuff like that. I'm like, dude, there's a whole slew of rhythm games that I can play that cost way less than that, and I don't have to worry about getting dizzy or like throwing up or anything like that. But anyway, so we're at the number 1 spot, but of course, before we get to that, we have to do our honorable mentions. And Joel, what do you have on your honorable mentions list?
I have a lot. We'll go Portal, Metal Gear Solid 2. Persona 3, Persona 4, Call of Duty 4, Modern Warfare. My very first. This was why I used to bench my first gaming PC. First God of War, GTA 3, Crisis Core.
Wow, man, you naming them off, man, like nobody's business.
2000s, man, golden age.
It's golden age for you. Golden age for you for sure. For me, it was SSX Tricky.
Oh, good one. I love. Yeah, great one.
Tricky was great. Halo. Halo was a really good one. What else do we have here? Rock Band. That was another fun one that I enjoyed very much so because I love rhythm games. Virtua Tennis, one of the only few sports games of my generation that I can actually destroy people in, like destroy. Virtual part one. Every other one I can't do, but part one I can do it.
If you guys haven't played it, Virtual Tennis is no Mario Tennis. It's not.
No,
you're not running over, hitting A in the general vicinity and returning a serve. That's not how it goes.
No, it's like it's actual arcade tennis, but not in like super duper powered. Like I'm gonna throw a star at you and just be like, no, none of that stuff. So, Virtua Tennis. Let's see, what else do I have here? Skies of Arcadia. That was another one. That was a really good one too. So those are some of my favorites. So I think I'm gonna go ahead now and just go at it. My number one game of all time, and you probably would never heard about this, but I'm going to say it anyways. Fire Pro Wrestling D.
Never heard of it.
Yeah, I bet. So there's a lot of wrestling games that have come out over the course of the history. No Mercy comes to mind. WrestleMania 2000, Fantasy XIV, Attitude is terrible. SmackDown was absolutely garbage.
SmackDown was so good.
No, it's so bad.
Who is this guy?
Okay,
who is this guy?
I'll tell you why. Because SmackDown is a tweaked out version of the Japanese wrestling game that I used to play, which was New Japan Pro Wrestling, and that was by far the way better version of SmackDown. That's the reason why I don't like that game. I refuse to play
does it make it a bad game to copy?
Does it make it? I don't know, man.
They say imitation is a sincere form of flattery here.
I guess so.
SmackDown was awesome, by the way. I'm just saying.
Whatever. Dude. Anyway, but Fire Pro Wrestling D, I know it's kind of a far reach out from there, but the reason why I picked this is because there was countless days and nights. Me and my three other buddies, because we played this on Dreamcast. This was on Dreamcast. We burned it because we were able to burn games at that point for Dreamcast and use CDRs, and they were fairly cheap at the time. And so we burned it. And we're like, okay, this is kind of cool. Then we found out that you can actually make your own wrestlers. You can make everything in the English. And then after that, you're just like, whoa. And then all of a sudden, you have all these characters. And then we were big wrestling fans. It was during the Attitude Era, right? So, DX and all that stuff. Man, dude, countless days and nights we would play this game, and we would fight for championships. We would yell at each other, would scream at each other, and then be friends 15 minutes later. But some of the best times in my 2000s to 2009s, just so many good times to be had. And it was there's a 8-man battle royal system, and so you would either pin them or you would knock them out. And that was like
throw them over the ropes,
stuff like that. But man, dude, it was such a good game. It's 2D, right? It's a 2D wrestling game. Kind of weird, but it's very skillful because you have to time the grapples correctly. It's not like you just kind of grapple and just go to town, or like or WrestleMania where you have to you press L to move back, but very technical. And like I said, we would play this game for hours at times and just forget. Like I remember, I think one night we were all dressed up to go to the club, and me and the boys were like, all right, cool, let's just play a match real quick. We ended up not going for real, and the girls were pissed because we were just like, what the hell are you guys doing? I'm like, we're still playing. Like, what the hell? And then
it's only 12. Come on.
Yeah, it's only. I mean, I don't know. I'm just saying. I mean, well, remember in San Diego, I think last call is at 1. 2 is it 2? Yes, 2. Last call's at 2.
I think,
yeah. So I mean, it was they got pretty pissed at us that night. But other than that, though, I mean, that was just one of my favorite times. One of my favorite recollection memories of video games was just playing that game and being able to share that with other folks, because no one, other than my friends, like no one's ever played it. But then as soon as I introduced my friends, they're like, dude, this game's amazing. And then it's all of a sudden just go to town and start practicing and all that stuff. So that's my number one, sir. What is your number one? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I have a question for this. So I'm more familiar with I guess the WWF games, Warzone, Attitude, SmackDown.
Yeah.
SmackDown has a really comprehensive reversal system.
Yes.
Did you have that one friend that was like wouldn't hit you but can reverse every move you do.
Yes.
So you're just like you're just dancing because you're like, dude, if I throw a punch in, reverse me and suplex me, and I can't grapple you because whatever move you're not gonna choose a move, but you're gonna wait for me to choose one, then you're gonna reverse me.
I know,
Did you have a friend like that?
Oh yeah, absolutely, man. Jason.
Or were you that?
No, I wasn't him. No, man. I if you guys know me, if you guys ever play me online or anything like that, I rush down. Like I'll go to town on you. Like I don't care. Like I'm just gonna be a freight train. But like my friend Jason or my other buddy Adam at the time, dude, he would just wait, and I'm like, "What are you doing, man? Like I have to like, am I gonna run and clothesline you? Like, am I gonna do this? Like I don't know. Like I don't know what to do to you." So yeah, I totally had that friend. Good memory because man, I just want to punch those guys.
It's like, come on. All right, I'm gonna hit you once and wait for time to expire. Okay, is that what we're doing now?
Hey man, that's a Street Fighter game right there. All right, man. So lay it on me. Number one. What's number one single player guy?
Single player. So this actually I played this game first on my a gaming laptop I had. Going into college, I convinced my parents I needed a gaming laptop, so that's what I had.
So that way you can type up your words. So
that way I have to plug my laptop in halfway through class because it's already running out of battery. But eventually, of course, I played on PC. Bioshock, number one game in 2000s.
Oh.
So this is still one of my favorite games of all time. It's still one of my favorite trilogies of all time. As much as Half-Life had a great atmosphere and story,
right?
Bioshock, oh man, this was not planned. This is terrible. Blew it out of the water. Yes, I said it. Terrible. I didn't plan that. I was just saying it. But it's so. This is like when people ask me if I like horror thriller games. I always say this game. This is the most I can play. Right. I told this to you, Riddell. This is the scariest game I can play is Bioshock. I forced myself to play it because the game was so fun. It's a mix of gunplay and plasmids, which are like powers. You can equip a power and you can equip a gun and have at it. So you can do fire, ice, lightning, the usual stuff. But my favorite was insect swarm. You have like all these bees and you shoot them at guys. And me being a chicken, use it for like, oh shit, I heard a noise. I'm gonna shoot the bees and they're gonna auto find the splicer that's hiding around the corner and get them for me. Because I was a scaredy cat. But no, the game was so good. The atmosphere was so good. If you guys don't know, it's a underwater city where they say, "Hey, laws and restrictions. If you want to be a plastic surgeon and do any surgery that anyone asks for, do it." And the town collapses because that's not going to work out. So you kind of go into the aftermath and have to fight a fallen city and all these hawked up splicers.
Right.
The best twist in video game history. I'm sure if you YouTube any video asking about biggest twist in video game history, Bioshock's number one for a reason. Great twist, great game, great story, great music.
Wow.
Sequel was but three was good.
So wait, is 3 Bioshock Infinite?
Yep.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
And I think I read an article they're in the works for a 4. Probably this gen since they tend to skip a gen. So I'm holding out for that. Infinite, I know Infinite people aren't a huge fan, but I loved it. And the DLC got you back in Rapture, so that's great.
Right. Wow. All right. Good deal. Again, I wish I had the ability to play these games because I'm missing out on so many good like first person like stories like this, whether it be like Half-Life or or Bioshock, any of those games. I'm really missing the ball here. And I was just talking to my buddy George, the same guy I was playing Final Fantasy XI with. He gets mad at me because he's like, dude, any American RPG or American game that you you just don't like it, like you just have instant like no. And I'm like, I know, but I don't know, man. I just can't do it.
It's not your jam, it's
not my jam. But but that's why I want to get a Series S or X, whatever system I can get. That way he and I can play together, and I don't have to invest the money to play these games because all these games are coming out. Bethesda and all those other games, they're all going to be on Game Pass anyway, man. So I mean, it's like, hey, you know what? That'll work for me, and then I don't have to invest so much into playing. Which I think, man, dude, Game Pass is such a good deal. Like if you guys don't have it, you guys should definitely look into it, especially if you guys are getting a Series S or X. Don't
let it be your Hulu. Don't pay every month and not use it.
Yes,
make sure you use it.
Yes, I know. Yeah, I know. Trust me, man. I did that. I think I had it for like $1 for like 6 months or something like that. I never used it.
Hulu was a bad comparison. I'll go with GameFly if you guys ever use
Ah,
that.
yes.
I had the sub, and I'm like, oh shit, I've had this one disc for 3 months, so I pretty much bought the game.
I think that happened with my brother. He rented a SSX for Wii and never returned it. Like, man, out of all the games you could not return, it was that one. Like, really? So I don't know. But what did you guys think? About our top 5? I think Bioshock definitely wins over firepro. Unfortunately, even though I loved firepro, that's a very, very obscure game. Trust me. But what do you guys think? Let us know in the comments below. But also, I have something at the end now that I have. My wife was very, very kind enough to provide me with this video game trivia cards. So there's a bunch of like trivia questions on here. I usually think the trivia questions aren't really that difficult, but these ones are actually pretty good. So I'd love to hear what you guys' top 5s are for 2009. What I'd also love is if you guys can answer this question. And if you guys answer the question, you guys might get something good. So I'm going to go ahead and
honor system.
Honor system, guys. Whoever gets the first answer correct on the comments, let me know. And honor system, of course. So I'm going to go ahead and read this off here. All right, so here's the question for tonight's podcast. In Life is Strange, protagonist Max Caulfield is a student of which subject at Blackwell Academy? Let me know in the comments below. And, like I said, if you guys get the answer correct, you might get something good. Might get something bad. Who knows? Anyway, thank you guys very much for watching. Again, if you guys have any type of topics or questions, please reach out to us at our social media pages at what's_your_5. If you have any emails that you want us to reach out to us at for any mini-sodes or regular episodes, or if you want to be a part of the show, reach us at topics@whatsyour5.com. Joel, thank you so much for recording with me tonight. I totally love doing this all the time, and I really hate you for getting your PS5. Thank you very much for listening and watching, fellas. Have a good night.
See you guys.